Here's my audience.
All right. Nice.
What? Okay. Have you ever looked at someone else's life wishing you could have as much money as them, thinking that because they have more money, they're happier? That they must have life much easier with their larger paychecks? It's not uncommon to get in this mindset, but the money is not what makes us happy. In fact, Ashik Zaman explained a story on the HSC Today blog post which gave proof to this quote. And it said, once there lived a happy cobbler who passed his day working and singing from morning to night. A rich neighbor of his was a banker who one day came and said to him, how much a year do you earn? The cobbler replied, I don't know, and I never think that way as I live from hand to mouth. The banker said, I am very sorry for your poverty. You should try to change fortune. The cobbler laughed and said, I am happy with what I can earn daily. The next day the banker came again and said, look, my friend, I want to drive away your want. Take these 1,000 pounds, keep it carefully, and use it in time of need. The cobbler became very much surprised, having the large amount. He had never seen so much money at a time in his life before. At first, he could not think where he should hide the money for safety. Then he dug a hole in his hut and buried it. At night, a new thinking crossed over his mind. Someone might steal his money. As a result, he could not fall asleep all night. Next few days, he could neither do any work nor sleep at night for thinking of money. At least, he could realize that the money had snatched away his mental peace and happiness. So one morning, he went to the banker's house and returned the money. Now he could pass away his days with singing and great happiness. Money can get us out of bad situations, but it can also burden us with stresses and different worries. Happiness is not based on a price tag. It is based on what you do with what you already have and how you appreciate those things. Through the many studies and research I've done myself, I found that money does affect happiness, but not in the way we tend to believe it will. Personally, I always wanted to live a life with a lot of money because it seemed like a life filled with fun and no worries. It seemed to me that being rich would benefit me in so many different ways. I could travel and see the world. I could afford my dream car. I wouldn't have to worry about anything. My research proved me wrong. In fact, in a couple of different studies, the results showed me that once a person hits a certain amount of income, which is around $60,000 to $70,000, there would no longer be an increase in happiness. In other words, once you reach a point where you no longer have to worry about putting a roof over your family's head or affording to feed everyone, then money no longer has an effect on your happiness. As you can see in this little graph right here, there is a pretty steady growth up to about when you make about $60,000 per year, and then it just continues at about the same spot the more money which is made. After that, one can be tasked with other challenges that others may not have to deal with. Amy Noventy of the American Psychology Association took a survey of those who have a household income of well over $1 million. What she found was much different from the stereotypes we usually associate with the people we call rich. These people were concerned with being a good parent and giving their child a good, fulfilling life. Almost all of them were worried about their kid, who might not get to experience the things they would like and could be seen as the rich kid to their friends. They were worried their children would never actually know if their friends liked them because of the money or because of their personality. And the biggest concern that they all had was of being separate from everyone else because of the financial differences and feeling alone with where they were at. These results are quite different from what I would have thought. Just because they reported not worrying about other common things like safety, food, and clothing, they had to worry about other things that can still weigh on us. When we look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we can see a correlation with happiness. We have to start from the bottom, which is physiological needs, such as food, shelter, and clothing. And then as we go up, the very top is self-actualization, which is basically the purpose, like having a purpose, and having creativity. And if you notice towards the bottom, food, you need money to buy food. And you need money for shelter and clothing. And then as you go up to here, you can see that it decreases the amount of money needed for it. So like this, safety needs like health, employment, property, and stability, you'll still need money, but not as much, and it becomes less important. And especially when we get to love and belonging, where family, friendship, and intimacy is, you don't need money as much there. And then as you go up to esteem, which is confidence and respect, you again don't need as much money. And you can just see that the importance of money is just dwindling away there. So as we increase and gain the needs that we start from the bottom, we have less and less needs that can be bought with money. The things at the bottom often need to be purchased, while the things toward the top need to be worked on without the use of money. If we look at one of these items in the self-actualization section, finding your purpose isn't something that requires money. And oftentimes it is the opposite. One may find their purpose in life by giving back to others and the community, or using a talent they have acquired. Both of these cannot necessarily be achieved or focused on without safety and food, which are bought with money, but as you increase, there is less and less that money is involved with. With looking at all of this data and what I've researched, I see a clear image of how money and happiness correlate. The phrase, money doesn't buy happiness, may not be 100% true, but it is also not false. Money does play a role in happiness as long as it is providing us with our basic human needs, and so they are no longer a concern. After a certain point, our income isn't affecting our happiness or how happy we are, because it is going towards things that would better us. So we can become happier by focusing on bettering ourselves instead of growing our wealth, because that is what truly makes the difference in our lives. After looking at all of this research and the facts, it gives me a different point of view of the value of money. I encourage everyone to take a look at your life and evaluate what is truly important to you. Consider making a list of things that make you the happiest and look at which of them are actually affected by money. If you do have items that come with a price tag, think of why they are of such importance to you. I've noticed that often the reason those things make me happy is because of the people I am with, not necessarily the activity or item that cost money. In a world revolving around money and fame, take the time to realize what is important to you and be different than the majority. I show the audience.